What happens when a movie costs a fortune and the crowd shrugs? 2025 proves the box office can be brutal even to famous brands. Tonight, we count down the biggest flops. These are the releases that opened loud, then faded fast. Some were expensive gambles. Some were quiet misfires. All of them left a scar on the ledger. Number 15, Hurry Up Tomorrow, 2025. A title like a dare, a release like a whisper. Hurry Up. Tomorrow hits theaters and meets silence. The hook is hard to sell fast. The trailer promises tension, but the room stays cold. By weekend 2, the screens shrink and the listings vanish. A low worldwide gross cannot cover the launch costs. That is how a movie becomes a ghost. Not with a scandal. With empty seats and quiet showtimes. Cast interviews stop, posters peel, trade chatter turns sharp. The loss lingers after posters come down. That is the rule of 2025. Number 14, Opus, 2025.
3 years of my life, and I haven't...
Opus arrives with ambition and a serious face. Audiences treat it like homework. Reviews split, and word of mouth never ignites. Theaters hold it briefly, then pivot to louder titles. Even fans struggle to find a showing. When the worldwide total stays tiny, the damage is not just financial, it is reputational. The film becomes a warning about timing and positioning. A drama can survive on prestige. It cannot survive on invisibility. Awards talk fades fast. Even defenders admit the strategy felt doomed. The audience votes with silence. Theaters move on fast. No miracle weekend arrives. Number 13, Love Hurts, 2025.
Where is Rose Carlyle?
Gone.
Love Hurts tries to sell romance with a bruised edge. The pitch sounds clear, but the tone lands muddy. The opening weekend is soft, and the second weekend drops hard. Online chatter is muted, and the jokes never turn into tickets. A mid-budget suddenly looks huge when the gross stalls early. That is the math that scares executives. It is not hatred, it is indifference. The movie becomes a reminder that genre comfort can still fail if the promise feels uncertain. It is the kind of miss that hurts careers and immediately. Theaters move on fast. No miracle weekend arrives. Number 12, Novocaine, 2025.
I have the power to step on a nail and not know until my shoe...
Novocaine comes in with a concept that sounds catchy on paper. In theaters, it struggles to cut through the noise. Competing releases steal oxygen. Early reactions are mixed, and the movie cannot build a second weekend story. Box office totals crawl instead of sprint. When a studio cannot build momentum, it cannot build profit. The result is familiar. Discount tickets, late-night showings, then a quiet exit. The film is not a disaster on screen. It is a disaster in timing. On streaming, it finds fans. Too late for office math. That is the rule of 2025. Theaters move on fast. Number 11, The Running Man, 2025.
Running fan. We catch up with an undisclosed runner at an undisclosed location.
The Running Man carries a famous name and a dangerous promise. Nostalgia alone cannot guarantee a crowd. Viewers compare it to what they remember. Newcomers feel unsure what version they are buying. That confusion is deadly. The opening weekend underperforms, and the film fades before it can build heat. A low worldwide total turns an event into an expense. When the dust settles, it is not a scandal. It is a slow bleed. The brand survives. Balance sheet bleeds. The movie becomes another reboot lesson for the whole town, and the accountants never forget. The audience votes with silence. Theaters move on fast. Number 10, A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey, 2025.
This is so
Useful.
I was gonna say,
A Big, Bold, Beautiful Journey sounds like comfort. Comfort needs heat. This release never gets hot. The campaign cannot decide if it is heartfelt or quirky. Audiences wait for streaming, and theaters get sparse turnouts. Showtimes vanish, and the film slips into the background. The worldwide take stays modest, which is fatal when marketing is heavy and the release is wide. A story like this needs strong word of mouth to survive. Instead, it becomes noise. You can feel the lights go out in real time. People call it sweet. Sweet rarely sells tickets. The audience votes with silence. Theaters move on fast. Number 9, Kiss of the Spider-Woman, 2025. Kiss of the Spider-Woman carries a legacy that demands respect. The market is ruthless. Many viewers do not know the story, others assume it is not for them. Limited interest becomes limited screens. Limited screens become tiny numbers. A serious title can still be commercial, but it needs a clear reason to exist right now. Without that reason, the box office turns into a graveyard. The worldwide gross stays painfully small. The film joins the list of passion projects that found more praise than paying customers. Art wins applause. Commerce demands urgency. Theaters move on fast. No miracle weekend arrives. Number 8, Shadow Force, 2025. Shadow Force aims for slick action and fast energy. The crowd stays home. Reviews do not help, and the brand is not strong enough to carry weak buzz. The movie opens, then drops hard. Theaters treat it like a rental that wandered onto premium screens. A low worldwide gross turns the whole operation into a loss. Action is supposed to travel. When it does not travel, the alarm bells ring. The film proves audiences demand either a must-see franchise or a truly fresh hook. Anything in between gets punished. That is tragedy here. Theaters move on fast. No miracle weekend arrives. Number 7, In the Lost Lands, 2025. In the Lost Lands sells fantasy and danger, but the scale feels squeezed. The spectacle never looks huge enough to compete with giants. The story feels niche to casual viewers, and the title offers no instant clue. That mismatch is fatal. A movie that needed devoted fans cannot find enough of them fast enough. Ticket sales stay low, and the worldwide total becomes shockingly small. When that happens, every choice is questioned. Casting, release date, trailer cut, even the poster. The film becomes a cautionary headline, a reminder that fantasy needs either wonder or speed. The marketing money burns either way. Theaters move on fast. Number 6, The Alto Knights, 2025.
The field where you parked. They're taking down plates.
What are you talking about?
The Alto Knights arrives dressed like classic crime prestige. Prestige does not always sell tickets now. The audience for this style has aged, and younger viewers want different thrills. The campaign cannot bridge that gap. The opening weekend lands soft, then collapses. When the worldwide gross sits near the floor, the headline writes itself. A major release that barely exists in theaters. The flop feels brutal because the craft may be solid. Box office does not grade on effort. It grades on urgency and turnout. In hindsight, the warning signs are obvious. Right now. Number 5, Mickey 17, 2025.
Where am I? What's going on?
Mickey 17 brings a respected director and a premise that dares you to lean in. That weirdness is the selling point and the risk. Some viewers love it, many hesitate. The film earns money, but not enough to justify its scale. In today's market, a big-budget original must hit hard. When it lands in the middle, the loss can still be massive. The worldwide gross looks healthy until you stack it against production and promotion. Then the picture darkens. The movie sparks debates instead of repeat viewings. Studios remember, theaters move on fast. The audience votes with silence. Number 4, Elio, 2025.
Aluminum.
Tagman of Tagman.
And you are.
Elio is built for families and wonder. The release runs into fierce competition and changing habits. Parents wait, kids choose streaming. Theaters feel less essential for smaller animated adventures. Even when the worldwide total looks decent, it can still disappoint. Animation is expensive and marketing is relentless. A film like this must dominate weekends to be called a win. When it does not, the narrative flips fast. The movie becomes a lesson in modern family viewing. Great visuals are not enough without urgency. The marketing money burns either way, right now. Number 3, Tron Ares, 2025. Tron Ares carries a neon legacy and a fan base, but loyalty is not the same as numbers. The gap between films is long, and general audiences feel no urgency. The visuals impress, yet the conversation stays muted. That is deadly for a costly sequel. A worldwide gross that falls short turns the franchise dream into a warning. If the movie cannot pull in casual viewers, it cannot justify the spend. The flop hurts twice. It fails as a standalone event, and it chills future plans. The grid still glows, but the register stays dark, and the accountants never forget. Number 2, Snow White, 2025.
Yes, Your Majesty.
It's important we all do our share.
Snow White should have been safe. A famous title, a built-in audience, a giant machine behind it. Yet the launch turns messy. Public debate drowns out the fairy tale, and marketing feels defensive. Turnout is weaker than expected. When a film carries a massive budget, it needs massive crowds. Anything less becomes a crisis. The worldwide gross cannot match the spend. That is how a prestige remake becomes a cautionary tale. In narration, you can frame it as the movie that broke studio confidence overnight. Fans argue online, but tickets are the only language, and the language stays silent. Number 1, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, 2025. Mission Impossible. The Final Reckoning aims to end an era with thunder. Instead, it becomes the most expensive tightrope walk of the year. A gigantic budget means it must perform like a world event. It performs like a hit and still feels like a loss once you count the cost. That is the nightmare scenario. Huge crowds, huge headlines, still not enough. The box office looks strong until you compare it to production spend and global marketing. This is the modern blockbuster trap. Even success can bleed. The franchise survives, but the margin vanishes. Theaters move on fast, no mercy. And that is the dark magic of 2025. A flop is not always a bad film. It is a film that cannot justify its cost. If you want to follow up with hidden stories behind these collapses, then like, subscribe, and comment your most shocking flop down below.